Honestly, this topic is so deep that I could probably post like 20 videos and still feel like I did not hit all the highlights. I've always had anxiety. I have always been anxious. As a kid, I didn't realize that I was anxious. I'm sure my parents probably thought it was a personality quirk, but as a teen, I had a triggering event when one of my close friends died in an accident, and it was very ironic the way that it all panned out, and it was traumatic for me. And it was after that I started having panic attacks, though at the time I didn't know that that's what was happening. I had no idea what panic attacks were and what they felt like, and I didn't know how to identify what I was experiencing. The very first panic attack that I remember ever having, our AC went out in our house, so it was a perfect excuse to stay in the hotel. Like, I think that dysfunctional families do that. Like, we stayed in a hotel, and my parents ordered some pizza and some wings, and they were hot wings, and I don't usually eat spicy stuff. And so I just took one for the team. I was hungry, started macking on them, and then I just felt like I couldn't breathe. It felt like my throat was closing up. My heart was racing. I felt like shit was about to go down. I'm shutting down. This is a medical event. This is a situation. I'm dying. Like, I really thought that I was dying. And that's the thing with panic attacks, is that under normal circumstances, you'd be like, you just ate some wings, go drink some water and lay down. Like, it's not a big deal. But when you're panicking, you skip that whole rational progression of coming up with an answer as to what's going on. You get trapped in this thought loop where you jump from rational to I'm dying right now, it's happening. And it's hard to deal with that because it's not something that you are consciously doing. It's like the intrusive thoughts. I've had many of those over the years where there has been a logical explanation. Sometimes there isn't a logical explanation, but I've had a lot of panic attacks where there's seriously like a normal thing that's happening and I can't process that it's normal. I was peeing one time and my eye started flashing, like a blue light in my eye, and like I didn't even try to investigate. I didn't try to think like, what is this that's happening? I went straight to stroke. You're having a stroke. And I just started panicking, can't breathe, feel like I'm dying. And then lo and behold, there's a piece of freaking glitter on the floor. It was a piece of blue glitter that was catching like the light and reflecting in my eye, and all for nothing. And it's so frustrating when you feel like you are a rational person, you are an intelligent person, you have a sound mind, and you make, good judgment calls on things, but then here you are, grown, acting like a baby. I struggle with that. It's so frustrating with me to hold these contradictory beliefs about myself, that I am strong and I am capable, but I am weak and I am dying. And how does that even fit together? So I understand completely if you have panic attacks. I know what that's like. And especially like when you've just got general anxiety about things where, a lot of times it's fueled by just overthinking. Like, I overthought the drill in the background. Like, I'm not gonna make the video about the drill. I think like crazy stuff sometimes, way too deep into the rabbit hole of thoughts, and that could make anybody anxious when you do that. Now, I know that there's different reasons as to why a person's anxiety can come about. For one, there could be a genetic element to it. I know that my uncle has anxiety. My grandma, my great grandma, they call her Grand Katie. My dad would laugh when I, would start asking him, for medical advice, like, hey, what do you think about this? And he'd be like, you're going to live until you're 106 years old, like your Grand Katie. Because she lived until she was 106. She was a hypochondriac too. She freaked out about everything from what I'm told. And she lived a long, healthy life. It could also be a deficiency in your vitamins or minerals, you've got to get lab work done. Like, don't just assume that because you've always been kind of anxious that, you know, something else isn't going on that could be easily corrected. I have always had anxiety, but I can tell you that I don't have panic attacks like crazy when my iron is normal. That is something that I have been able to track and connect the dots and realize when my iron is low, I have debilitating daily panic attacks, sometimes multiple times a day. And it's not just iron deficiency that can trigger anxiety, but with iron deficiency, like your heart's pumping a lot harder than it normally would, and that can trigger those different symptoms of, you know, feeling like you're having a heart attack or that something's not quite right, because something isn't right and it can be fixed. I think B12 can cause that. All different types of vitamins and minerals, when they're out of whack, when they're off balance. If you have genuine anxiety and panic, you need to get some lab work done and get to the root cause. And if you've got any kind of like deficiencies, then work with your doctor. Find something that works for you to get that back up, because it can affect your anxiety, especially if you are already prone to anxiety. It will exacerbate it. I feel like a different person now, trust me. How this all relates to my teeth. I really thought that my teeth were going to kill me. For the most part, I tried to force it out of my mind. I would go on about my day and I would not think about my teeth. I would just try to completely put it out of my head and do other things, because if I paused for a moment and really thought hard about it, then I would get stuck in, you know, what am I going to do to fix this? How am I going to fix my teeth? I don't have money. I don't have a job. I can't do this. I can't do that. It's impossible. So then what? Then I live like this forever? You can't live like that forever. Eventually something's going to happen. And then that would send me in that spiral of, it's going to poison you. It's going to get into your bloodstream and kill you. On the flip side, I was freaked out about the dentist, because like my experiences with the dentist were that they are impersonal. They don't treat you like a person. They treat you like a patient. So they don't understand the emotional investment and how scared you might be. And with my anxiety, I crave reassurance from people. Some people, they push others away and don't want, because it feels smothering. It feels like suffocating. But then there's other people who feel like they need that connection. They need to be told that everything's going to be okay. And that's me all the way. If I'm sitting in a dentist's office, I want you to look me in the eyes and feel my pain right now. Understand that it's so hard. You have no idea all of the steps that I had to take just to be here today, to hear this devastating news that you're about to tell me. And then for you to come off so callous and speak in your clinical technical terms and jargon and stuff at me, and it fly over my head. And the moment that I ask a question about it, you just gloss over it because you know that you're on a schedule. Like, that is not a place to foster trust. So I didn't trust dentists at all. So I avoided them. You know, why would I put myself through something that's just going to make me feel worse and is ultimately still not going to quite solve my problem? That was the train of thought that I had. And then in 2010, the year that I first started my YouTube channel, I started my channel in December of 2010. I got married in April, and I was 14 weeks pregnant at the time. And then I had my son in September. So that whole year was like a year of transformation for me. There was a lot going on in my life, anxious about being married, anxious about having a third kid, and just a lot of things to think about during that year, to where I was having a lot of panic attacks. And finally, after Ezra was born, my youngest son, he's 9 now, I got to that point that I mentioned in my videos before, that I hated looking at myself in the mirror. I was sick of being sick. I was sick of feeling like shit all the time. I was sick of panicking and just feeling like the helpless victim that is just like stuck in this one spot, looping through every day the same freaking thing. And I was just like, there has to be something. I would rather die. I would rather die than to live like this. This is no way to live. So I had to actually hit rock bottom. Like, I'd never been so low in my life to where I was like fearless in that moment. Like, I had just mentally committed, like, it doesn't matter what happens in this situation, I can't live like that anymore. So I'd rather face the unknown and have some like ounce of hope in my being that it could possibly better than to stay in the current situation that I'm in, knowing what the outcome of that's going to be and that it's not going to be good at all. So that was like my moment of courage. When I went to my first consultation and I was told the news that I had to get dentures, it was something that I already knew. And, you know, I tried the best that I could to mentally prepare for that. It was still very emotional hearing that from somebody else, just confirming what I already knew. But then when it came to, you know, the treatment plan, that's where it gets kind of complicated, because like if they're talking in ways that you don't understand and you can't, like, it's a feeling of having no control. You're telling me what's going to happen to me, but I don't understand it. And so if I don't understand it completely and I'm too nervous to ask you questions for clarity, then I'm going to freak out about it because I don't have no idea what I'm walking into. So I was fortunate that I had a dentist that he was straight up with me. He's just got that personality of, like, you know, blatant honesty, but at the same time, you could tell that he empathized with me and what I was going through, and he made sure that I understood the process and he worked with me. So I can tell you right now, hands down, without a dentist that is willing to level with you like that, it would have been very difficult for me to proceed with the appointment of getting the extractions and stuff. How did I manage to even get in the chair? One thing that I have discovered when it comes to my anxiety is that things look different when they're on paper or on a computer screen in front of your face. When they're floating around inside of your head, it's like a tangled ball of yarn where you're just pulling different threads that are getting stuck and pulling other threads that make you think these thoughts that connect with those thoughts, and it's just a jumbled mess. And so I like to think of writing as a way to untangle the yarn in your head. And that's what I've done for a long time. It's been my coping mechanism, is just writing it out. And I'm not saying that you have to be a writer or you have to be like great at it or even good at it. It could just be lists. Just get the stuff out of your head. What are your fears? What are you worried about? What could possibly happen? And as you write things out, you can start to kind of see it from like an objective standpoint and not as much of an emotional standpoint, because you're looking at it out like this and it clears stuff up. Another thing that helps is pros and cons list. Like, I actually did a pros and cons list. I probably even have it because I'm a hoarder and I save all my writing stuff. So it's probably stored away somewhere, but I drew a line down the middle of a piece of paper, pros on one side, cons on the other side, and I listed every pro I could think of for getting dentures, and every con, and then every pro for keeping my teeth as they were, and every con, and like I compared, and I was able to come to a logical decision in regards to what kind of action that I needed to take. I'm a disorganized person. I'm very disorganized, and my mind is just like, it's not going to be able to produce organization. I absolutely have to write it down and just do what's on the list. Not what I feel like doing, not what I think I should do in the moment. What is on the list? What is on the paper? And when you tackle what's in front of you without like worrying about, you know, it doesn't matter if I don't want to do this, if it upsets me, if it scares me, it's there, and I've come to the decision that this is the action that I need to take, then you just do that. So with my teeth, I had already came to the logical solution, like the idea that there's no way around what I have to do. So regardless of if I'm scared of it, or, you know, if I don't really want to do it, it's what I have to do, because I've mapped that out and I've weighed the pros and cons, and I see that that's what needs to happen and that's what I'm going to do. So, you know, without going to 30 minutes into this video. This is getting really long. I told you, it's a deep rabbit hole. You have to find some kind of strategy to be able to put your thoughts, your anxious thoughts out there on paper, whether it's a list, whether it's a journal entry or whatever. And when you do that enough, like when you start practicing, like writing it out, you'll start to notice patterns, repetitive thoughts that you might have, and you're more likely to come up with solutions. I swear writing is like a miracle therapy cure for different situations. And for me, that was one of the things that really pushed me to do what I needed to do, despite how I felt about it. So no, I was not happy about having to get dentures. It was not something that I was eager to do. There was an element of excitement because, you know, I knew that this with my teeth is not going to produce any kind of happiness or joy in my life. But what if that does? It's the unknown. Like, it could go either way. It could end up being horrible, or it could be the best decision that I've ever made in my life. I don't know. And like, the unknown in that situation was better than the known, because I knew what that would lead me to. I hope that you were able to take something away from this video. I just wanted to share, you know, some of the things that I've gone through and things I've sort of figured out. I can make more videos about this. If you want me to make a video specifically about like what I experienced during a panic attack, what the symptoms are, how to stop a panic attack in the middle of the panic attack, how to be prepared for panic attacks. I take magnesium whenever I'm going through a phase of anxiety, and that usually clears it up. Not making medical recommendations. You need to consult with your doctor, but that's what I do. There's all different types of things and strategies that I've taken on that have allowed me to function and make good decisions and do things that need to be done. And I, you know, have not had to take actual medication for this, even though I have serious anxiety. So I look forward to reading y'all's comments and seeing what you guys think about all of this and what your experiences have been and what are your specific fears about getting dental work done. And maybe I can address that in another upcoming video. And follow me on Instagram, kalinjax on Instagram. And somebody's breaking into my room. They've breached security. It is a child. It is probably Nova. So I'm gonna go, and you guys take care.